The March 2020 to June 2022 Auditor-General's report has revealed a number of infractions in Ghana's utilization of COVID-19 funds. A 119-page document details interesting revelations in the and also touched on multiple infractions that were captured in the report. My colleague Noble Crosby-Annan has joined me in studio for us to walk you through some of the highlights of this Auditor-General's report. Many have already started describing it as quite revealing and damning. So first of all, what are some of the highlights? Walk us through how this report was first put together.
Martin, you know that since COVID-19 came into Ghana and we sort of came out of the woods, if you like, there's been a pressing demand to conduct a comprehensive audit on Ghana's COVID-19 funds. Indeed, some civil society organizations say that the lack of the comprehensive audit is fueling claims of embezzlement related to Ghana's management of the funds. Well, we have it now. This is a report on the audit of the Government of Ghana COVID-19 expenditure for the period of March 2020 to June 2022. And then now we know that according to the report, in all, a total amount of some 21 billion cedis. And as we talk, we'll be seeing some of the slides too on our screens. A total amount of 21 billion cedis was mobilized by the government of Ghana to fight COVID-19. And that came from the World Bank, it came from IMF, the African Development Bank, European Union, and the sale of BOG COVID-19 bonds for the 2020 and 2021 fiscal year. So it came from various sources. Now, out of the 21 billion amount that government mobilized, the report says that 11 billion out of that was spent on COVID activities, and then the rest was spent on budget support. We know that when COVID-19 came, you know, it affected the economy and it brought the economy on its knees. So some other amount, about 11 billion, was also allocated to, you know, help shore up the economy of the country. Right.
So we also, glancing through the report, we see specifics like vaccines were supposed to have been procured. There were those we got for free as a country. But what exactly does the report say about the vaccines?
Well, there's a dire revelation about, you know, the vaccines, how much Ghana paid for and all of that. I'll walk you through what strikes me the most when it comes to the vaccines. So we know that Ghana paid for some of the vaccines, you know, the health minister, you know, the allegations that came back and forth with that. Now, we paid for 81.8 million worth of COVID-19 vaccines. That has not been delivered yet.
You mean in excess of 80 million?
Yes, 80 million paid already, but that has not been delivered yet. Mind you, I'm talking about the report. This is what the Auditor-General's report is saying. So it noted that the Ministry of Health, on behalf of the government of Ghana, paid that amount to, you know, to help get vaccines into the country. But that has not happened yet from UNICEF and then AVAT. We have not gotten that. And then the Auditor-General is recommending that the Chief Director of the Ministry of Health should renegotiate with UNICEF to recover the outstanding amount. If we will not need the vaccines now, then we should get the monies back.
There was a portion that captured issues regarding medical supplies. So beyond just the vaccines, we also needed some medical supplies.
Exactly, Martin. So in the report, as part of efforts to fight COVID-19, we needed a lot of supplies, just like the vaccines, to help, you know, protect the citizenry and all of that. For medical supplies, although we needed a lot, it appears that we got more than we needed, because over $5 million worth of medical supplies that were sent to the Noguchi Memorial Institute remain unused. And I'm talking about as of the time the report was compiled by the Auditor-General. So they paid some amounts for some supplies to come into the country for the procurement of medical supplies for the Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research and College of Health Sciences at the University of Ghana. Now, the examination of the Auditor-General reveals that funds were used for the intended purposes. So that amount, some $13 million, were used for the purposes that it was intended for to be used. But out of that, the $5 million worth of medical supplies, they are still at the Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research, and they are yet to be used. They include antigen test kits that is valued at some $3 million, and then the AG is recommending that the medical director should ensure that those items are utilized in any way possible. Let us get our monies back.
Right. And within the period, we also put in procurement bids to get some ambulances into the country.
Exactly, Michael. So, according to the report, he noted that the ministry entered into a contract on that happened on the 15th of December 2021 for the supply of 26 Toyota deluxe ambulance valued at some $4 million, out of which the country paid 607,000 US dollars. It was paid via PV number IPF. That was paid on September 2, 2022, last year. So to be delivered on 15th January 2022. However, the ambulances remained undelivered as of November 28, 2022. So although that amount, some $607,000 has been paid, the country is yet to receive those ambulances. Now, here's the catch. You know that the current global economic challenges, it is likely that, you know, the people selling to us those ambulances could decide that because of that we're increasing the cost of the ambulances, or we're decreasing the quantity of ambulances that the country is going to get. Or it is also going to affect the quality of healthcare that we're getting into the country. So management decided that upon technical inspection by the World Bank, additional specifications had to be made for the ambulances that were supposed to come into the country. But that has not come yet. And then according to the Ministry of Health and the Ghana Health Service, the ambulances that were supposed to get us, that would pay the $607,000 for, they're supposed to come by March 2023. So the AG is recommending that that deadline should not pass, Martin.
Okay. All right. So clearly there are many more outstanding components of this report that we'll be revealing to our viewers and listeners and readers on our website across the world. Also, maybe in conclusion, there were some other misappropriations according to the report. For instance, we are told that the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development, for instance, expended some 285 million Ghana cedis on non-COVID related activities. Mind you, viewers, this report totally captures what Ghana did throughout the COVID period when we as a country were hit, and then the finances we managed to put together and how it was expended. So would you want to briefly also touch on the...
Yes, I'll touch on that, but let's talk about the Ministry of Information. So there's also been a mention in the report that we're talking about funds that went into pockets that did not deserve. So we know that front care health workers, they were allocated some amounts of money to motivate them in the fight against COVID-19. Now, the Ministry of Health, some senior staff there, contrary to the directive of the President for frontline health workers, they received also some amounts of money. They pay themselves a total amount of 151,500 cedis as COVID-19 risk allowance. For the report puts it as coming to work during the COVID-19 lockdown period, and that is contrary to the President's directives from the office. You remember in the President directives in their fellow Ghanaians, addresses. So that is also something that strikes the attention of many on social media. A lot of reactions are also coming from that angle as well. They're also looking at some amounts that were also paid to some chiefs, okay? So although we may not call them frontline workers, and when COVID-19 came, we're all asked to stay in our various homes. So with the role that some local authorities played in, reducing the impact of COVID-19, some chiefs in the various places, the various areas, they also received some amounts of monies that were wrongly disbursed, or that should not have gotten to them in the first place. So these are just a few of the numerous concerns, the infractions that the Auditor-General is capturing in this report, and it is a 119-page document. I think if you can, everybody should get a copy of the report and then read for yourself, what the country has put its money into and how that is not bringing us the results that we desire, Martin.
All right. Clearly, in the coming days, we'll also try and give you a further breakdown of year-by-year expenses of how that money was used, because we know in 2020 a specific amount was used. in 2021 and then in 2022. This is the Auditor-General's report between March 2020 and June 2022 about how Ghana as a country expended some 21.8 billion cedis on its fight against COVID-19. We'll give you further breakdown also on our website in the coming days. Thank you very much. And before Crosby takes leave of us, some other revelations?
Yes, a lot of revelations, Martin. So we know that we constructed treatment centers and isolation centers to use in the management of COVID-19. As of the time that this report was put together by the Auditor-General, 3 treatment and isolation centers completed at a total cost of 29 million cedis. They were yet to be put to use. So the buildings are there, fully furnished.
So the facilities are ready
to be used, but they are not used yet. And they cost the country 29 million cedis. You spoke about the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Integration. Well, they paid in excess of 285 million cedis. They had that money, but they did not use it for COVID-19 related activities. So it raises the questions as to what the monies were used for. These are just a few of the infractions captured in the Auditor-General's report, Martin. All
right. Thank you very much, Noble Crosby. And so what we've been doing in the last few minutes is just to give you an appreciation of the COVID report that has been released by the Auditor-General that captures how much we put together as a country, how that was expended in the various years, in the various sectors, and the specifics, as even to how much we put out to buy ambulances. Our website, 3news.com, has details, and then also in subsequent bulletins we'll give you further breakdowns.